In recent history, many states, for health reasons, have banned the buying, privately owned housing, and selling of exotic wild animals. In the state of Texas, this is not true. Many people of the state of Texas do not see the harm in owning of exotic wild animals as lions, tigers, and monkeys, to name a few. On the endangered list, many of these animals are not allowed to be hunted in their natural habitats. This does not hinder the population of the world from continually hunting these endangered species for sale of the animal itself to private owners or for the fur, teeth, and other parts into the other regions of the world. Texas is very liberal in their view of ownership with these animals. The public does not see the threat of the animals until one of those pets attack a child or adult due to the natural breeding of the animal. For instance, Siberian tigers used in a Las Vegas show attacked the trainer and long friend of the animals, causing that entertainer to suffer horrendous injuries as the animal's natural instincts arose. This animal then was condemned because of that act. If as a nation we are the example of the betterment of all creatures, then why do we allow the general population of Texas to buy, own, or sell these animals? Texas legislation needs to define the buying, selling, and ownership of exotic wild animals as a public health issue that is left unchecked will affect the collective community health. The banning of exotic wild animals in the state of Texas in order to maintain the dignity of the animal in the wild, also to contain the elements of human injury or disease, and in order to keep the endangered animals from contracting diseases outside of their respective immune systems from domesticated animals or man. These animals can develop diseases from domesticated animals such as dogs. Canine distemper virus has been documented as a leading cause of Siberian tigers, as well as animals in captivity with fatal results. Exotic animals as parrots and peacocks have been a source of avian influenza or bird flu, one of the diseases that may spill over into the public. These issues need to be addressed by the legislature to set ruling over Texas as a state that not only wants to preserve the beauty and wonder of exotic animals of the world, but the state of Texas wants to prevent epidemics of diseases and injuries that may develop with retention of these animals outside of their natural habitat. In order to make Texas an example for the few remaining states that do not have effective laws established, the state of Texas public health policy should be that buying, selling, or privately owning exotic wild animals should be banned from the state of Texas. With this, a fine of $10,000 should be accrued with each animal obtained from this situation of imprisonment, and imprisonment of 5 to 10 years will be imposed for each arrest of the same or like issue. We in Texas have an express line to the lethal injection of prisoners that kill within the act of a felony. We in Texas still have cattle rustling as a taboo and fine highly on this issue, yet we do not see anything wrong with the buying, selling, or ownership of exotic wild animals. Many a reserve has been established within our state that takes privately owned animals that should have been left in the wild and retrain them, hopefully, and therefore return them back into the wild. These are established by the animal protection activists that are present in our state. This is not the solution for this public health issue. It is only a Band-Aid. Education of this issue needs to start with the children. Instruction on the environmental situations damaged by man, eliminating the wild in which the animal lives to capture and ownership of these species should be introduced as a story like the ant and the grasshopper. Cautionary tales that will indicate to children the harm to the world they will inherit. This is the first change that is needed to occur. This education has to also be directed to the adult population of Texas, which means public announcement services putting out minute commercials that give the cause and the fines with punishment terms. If we see enough of these spots, we may see an end to this public health issue. Money will have to be a part of the state of Texas's budget, however. The lotto was set up for the education expenses that have already occurred within our school systems, and they have yet been applied to any system other than government. My proposal is to take this missed funding and give it back to the education that is necessary for the public to have informed consent on this issue that surrounds the travesty. Fundraisers benefiting zoos and animal reserves would also benefit these underfunded organizations. And lastly, reappropriating government spending would be beneficial to this endeavor. These animals only require a permit to get, and the permit is all too easy to procure. Without proper checks and balances in place to regulate the care and habitat of these animals, it is all too easy for abuse, disease, escapes into the population, and attacks to happen. The exotic animal trade is a booming business, and more often than not, an illegal one. These animals are transported with overcrowding and in the most inhumane care possible. Private ownership should be banned for the health and well-being of these animals. They should remain in the wild or in well-maintained zoos where they can be what they are, wild animals. The final part of this is to give the Animal Protective Services Association the backing with funds as well as with justice personnel to get the public's attention to stop this action before it starts within our rural areas and in our cities. The rural areas are truly big in Texas, and therefore you can hide a lot of these animals without notice. In conclusion, it is within the rights of the Public Health Department to offer this as a deterrent to raise the health and well-being of the state of Texas. It is also within the jurisdiction of this office to offer the resolution factors within this policy. It is the hope that the wisdom of the state does not fail the public needs with this issue.